the Charles Butler Show here on Genesis Communication Network. We're broadcasting live from the Heritage Foundation offices here in Washington, D.C., and I can tell you it's a hot one. I want to welcome to the show a young man who has been with me and been coming on the show for, well, since I've been in radio, since 2007 or so, Mr. Hans von Spakovsky. I can never get this right.
It's the toughest name in radio.
No, but you're the greatest guy in radio, let me tell you. I want to welcome him. He's a legal expert here at Heritage Foundation, and just a terrific person. You'll see him on Fox, MSNBC, just all over, talking about issues that are important to you. Today, we want to talk about Illinois concealed carry. Those of you who know me know that I'm from Chicago. I'm based in Chicago, and I do my show from Chicago. So welcome, Hans. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's really terrific to be in studio.
Yeah, it is. We can see each other. Look, let me ask you this. This Illinois concealed carry, it passed.
Right.
And it wasn't what everyone wanted, but I think we got most of the things that we wanted. In my, I've been on this pro concealed carry bandwagon for 5 or 6 years, working with the NRA, Illinois Second Amendment Sisters, Illinois concealed carry, all these different groups, and we got it passed. But I noticed we still had a large number of Black American legislators who voted against the bill. And they're the ones where all the crime is. Their districts are the ones that are war zones. And I just, I don't understand it, because when citizens but the citizens want guns.
Of course they do. They want to protect them. And what's amazing to that is that those black legislators, they have forgotten their own history. Mm-hmm. The first gun control laws in the United States were passed where? In the Jim Crow South.
No question.
And the whole reason was to get guns out of the hands of black Southerners.
That's right.
And, you can talk to people who were living in the South in the 1960s, and, for example, in Birmingham, black families who owned shotguns and weapons, they used those to protect themselves.
Right, no question.
And look, gun laws don't prevent criminals from getting guns.
Right.
You can see that in Chicago, where it's virtually impossible to own a gun.
Or Washington, D.C.
Yeah, or Washington, D.C. And look, there's been a number of studies done, Charles, you know that, John Lots and great studies. He's shown that in states where ordinary citizens have the ability to own guns and to carry weapons, they have lower crime rates.
No question, because the citizens can protect themselves from crime. But, I in Chicago, when I was on WVON down in what I call the war zone, we literally, for over 4.5 years, on my way back and forth to the thoroughfares to get back to my neighborhood, I saw at least the remnants of at least 15 people shot. Yeah. That's just on that one street.
I believe it, yeah.
Yeah, that's just on that one street. I used to keep tally. In Chicago in 2008, 2009, we had 399 Chicago public school children wounded and 144 school children killed. And these are people who don't want guns. Anderson Cooper quoted me one day, and he said that I had said that if this carnage was happening, the killing of our children was happening in a suburb, they'd have the National Guard, Blackwater, or parents would be out in the streets armed and protecting their children. And I think that's true.
No, I agree with you completely. And it's great that Illinois finally has a concealed carry law now, but let's remember, they're the last state in the country to get it, and the only reason the legislature did it was because they were ordered to do it by a federal court.
Yes, and they lost that case. Mr. McDonnell, who took the case to the Supreme Court, is a very good friend of mine, Otis McDonnell. Right. He's just been a stand-up guy. But, he's absolutely right. The mayor of Chicago, and I had said this before Judge Alito put it in his ruling, refused to protect black and brown citizens in high-crime areas. When I moved to Chicago in 97, I couldn't believe how brazen these criminals were. Because the people, when I tried to register I didn't know anything about the gun law. So when I went down to register my handguns in the city, like I had in California, the lady said to me, and it's a good thing I hadn't taken the guns, she said, you can't register a handgun. I said, what do you mean I can't register? She said, our laws, you can't register a handgun. She gave me a little pamphlet. And I said, so what should I do? She said, just keep it. Don't tell anybody. But it was, Hans, what do you, have you talked to anyone in Illinois about this lately?
I have.
Okay.
And I know that there are some people that are upset about it, but it's because they've got the wrong idea about that. Mm-hmm. Crimes aren't committed by ordinary citizens who own guns or have concealed carry permits. I mean, Virginia, where I live, is a good example. Virginia, it's a southern state. They have very good gun laws. You can easily get a concealed carry weapon. We have much less crime than in the District of Columbia, which is right across the Potomac River, where they make it virtually impossible for you to own guns.
But when I talked to Hillary Sheldon, who's the national spokesman for NAACP, his claim is that, people go to Virginia and they get guns and then they come back here and use them.
Well, that is not true. He has no evidence to show that is correct. I don't think it's a coincidence that cities that have the worst murder rates in the country, like Chicago and the District of Columbia, are the ones that have the strictest gun laws.
That's true.
Because the criminals can get the guns, but ordinary citizens can't get them and can't protect themselves.
Well, one of the things that I think would be interesting to do a study on is Detroit, Michigan, which is where I'm from. I'm from the Detroit area. My friends back there, the women, the men, everyone's packing. Everyone's carrying a gun. Detroit reduced their police force by almost half, and crime's going down.
Well, I doubt. I don't think that's just a coincidence. I mean, in fact, we know it's directly. We know it's directly related because the studies have shown that it is.
Well, and it just makes common sense when people are prey to predators, they get preyed upon.
No, that's right. And I remember years ago seeing some interviews with some convicts in prison, and the basic question was asked of them, well, if you're going to burglarize a house where people are going to be there, are you going to pick on the house where the person is armed? Or are you going to go into a house where they don't have a weapon and can't defend themselves? Well, it's just common sense.
No question. And remember, I don't know if you remember when the two young men killed the German tourist in Florida?
Yeah.
And they asked them, they said, well, why did you shoot these tourists? And they said, well, we knew they were in a rental car and they probably didn't have a gun, so that's why we shot them.
Right.
That's why we attacked them. We robbed them.
Yeah, no, it's a very unfortunate story, but unfortunately true.
So, Hans, is there? Do you they say that the implementation of the Illinois concealed carry law will happen after the first of the year, sometime next year, and I think we'll start seeing crime rate go down in the city.
If they actually implement it. Because what happened in the District of Columbia was, as you know, a case about D.C.'s gun laws also went to the United States Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that D.C. could not simply ban guns the way they had, but people have still had problems because what the city has done is erected this regulatory structure to try to make it extremely difficult for people to get permits to register pistols, etc. They've tried through red tape to basically do what they used to do, which is ban guns, and so people are now having to fight that to try to get rid of those kind of restrictions.
Well, it's just, to me, so backwards, and it's symptomatic of, I think, a number of Black Americans in this country who I claim are politically unsophisticated. The same way about this gun argument, I think these people need to get their heads out of their Bibles, and they need to get busy and start being Americans and stand up for themselves and their families. As the Supreme Court ruled in 2005 that the police have no constitutional responsibility to protect you.
That's right. And you talk to any police officer, and if they're going to be frank, they'll say, look, we're going to get there after the crime has been committed.
Yeah. Well, what about the Milwaukee County Sheriff who cut the video, who said, hey, go out, get some training, get a gun, give us a call. We'll be there, but until we get there, defend yourself.
No, he's exactly right about that. And sometimes they won't even get there. You know, just a couple of months ago, there was an infamous incident here in the District of Columbia where a lady was in her house. A guy was breaking into the house. She called 911. She got a busy signal.
Ooh.
And of course, had no ability to defend herself because of the restrictions the city's put on guns.
But you know, and that's why I keep telling people, and I'm going to say this, and I know it may be inflammatory, but I think the Congressional Black Caucus needs to be voted out of office. I think that a number of these black legislators statewide need to be voted out of office because they don't represent their constituency, whether it's gun laws, whether it's Obamacare, whether it's immigration. They don't get it. They're always just stupid. I just don't get it. I mean,
well, I don't either, particularly on, not to get off the subject, but on the immigration issue.
Right.
Listen, the biggest reason black unemployment in this country, especially in the inner city, is so high is because of the fact that we have not been enforcing our immigration laws,
right.
And there are huge numbers of illegals coming in and taking jobs, willing to work for lower wages. And, if I represented a black area in Congress, I would be very upset about that.
Well, they're not, because they're getting paid. They get a paycheck every 2 weeks. So these are the kind of people that we're sending to Washington, D.C. They're not very smart. They're community activists. This is the best they've ever lived. And why rock the boat? But let me tell you, CBC, your neighborhoods are changing. Maxine Waters, you may not have another term, and there are others of you who are facing this. Sheila Jackson Lee, you're facing the same situations. You think we don't know that? You're pandering. You're giving away political power for your own expedience, and you need to stop. So I hope you're listening. But go ahead, Hans.
I hope they're listening too. You said it. You said what they need to hear.
Thank you, Hans. Mr. Hans von Spakovsky, my good friend. Thank you again for being here, sir.
And welcome to Washington.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, folks, stay tuned. We're going to have Miss Romano Boccio in a few minutes.
Join us in the fight for American jobs. On July 15th, the Black American Leadership Alliance will conduct the D.C. March for Jobs, a rally on Washington urging Congress to reject amnesty and support the millions of Americans unable to find work. Help stop Congress. Join us on July 15th with prominent speakers like Colonel Allen West and others. To learn more about how you can stop amnesty and support American workers, visit DCMarchForJobs.com. That's DCMarchForJobs.com to join this historic event.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Gold. If you listen to the radio, watch TV, or surf the net, you are hearing about gold. Eventually you will ask yourself, is gold right for me? The answer might surprise you. We protect ourselves and our families from many things. Do you have medical insurance? Is your home insured? Do you carry life insurance? How about financial insurance? If you own gold, then the answer is yes. If you don't own gold, the question is, why don't you have financial insurance? We put our faith in things we trust. Do you trust the dollar? Do you trust the economy? Do you trust the government? Gold has always been something you can trust. For thousands of years, people have put their faith in gold. Where will you put your faith? Now is the time to protect yourself and your family. Call Midas Resources today at 1-800-686-2237, extension 242. 1-800-686-2237, extension 242. And ask for Jim Parker. Let me help you get started today. 1-800-686-2237, extension 242.
Wouldn't it be nice to have one product that replaces more than 10, saving you space, time, and money? HempUSA.org has a complete full-spectrum vitamin mineral detox formulation called Micro Plant Powder Gold. Micro Plant Powder Gold contains 101 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and iodine. Has a 100-year shelf life and is a perfect addition to any storage shelter. Make Micro Plant Powder Gold your choice. Call 888-910-4367 or visit HempUSA.org today.
HempUSA.org has a revolutionary wonder food for detoxing the body and rebuilding the immune system. Microplant powder can help unclog arteries and soften heart valves while removing heavy metals, virus, fungus, bacteria, and parasites. Plus, it cleans and purifies the blood, lungs, stomach, and colon. Keep your body clean with Microplant powder. Order today at 888-910-4367 or visit HempUSA.org.
Weakened by GMOs, stressed out about money, and blasted by the electric environment. Hi, I'm Pastor Ginny, and that was the state I was in back in 2010. Then I learned about RNA drops. I learned that 97% of my DNA that scientists have called junk is actually packed with millions of gene switches that play a critical role in controlling how my cells, organs, and other tissues behave. I learned I don't have to put up with disease, decay, or decline like I'd been conditioned to believe. I began taking RNA drops, a 100% natural formula designed to turn on those switches and provide me with amazing health and joy. Learn more about RNA drops and order a free sample today. Visit rnafreesample.com. That's rnafreesample.com or call toll-free 888-577-3703. Pay only shipping and handling for a free 30-day supply of RNA drops. Get the information you need and the health you want at rnafreesample.com.
Okay, welcome back to Charles Butler Show. We're sitting here with Miss Romana Boccio of the Heritage Foundation. We're broadcasting live from their studios today. Welcome to the show, Romana.
Thanks for having me.
How have you been?
I've been okay. I'm just watching Congress not do its job. I've been paying a lot of attention as to how Congress is doing its job this season, budgeting for all of the different congressional agencies. And I haven't been too pleased. We haven't seen a whole lot of the appropriations bills, which means that we're moving closer and closer to the need for having another continuing resolution this fall, which is just another way to continue current spending levels and not do what they're supposed to, which is to prioritize federal spending as it makes most sense to taxpayers.
Has this sequester that they've talked about, has it been an issue? Do you see it as an issue, or has it just been a political football that people have bannered about?
It's been largely a political issue. There was a Washington Post story that followed up a lot of the claims the president had made as to just how devastating the sequester would be, and it turned out most of these were overblown. We did not see the effects that were predicted, or rather that people were supposed to be scared about. So overall, I think agencies were able to shift funds from lower priority items to higher priority ones, and that's exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And I think actually there's more room to cut. So we've put out a couple of papers on the various appropriations bills, like on agriculture, on transportation, and now I'm working on commerce, justice, and science, where there are cuts you can make without harming many of the programs or without really causing too much friction, because we do spend a lot on waste and a lot of things that the federal government shouldn't be involved in to begin with.
Well, one of the things that upset me about President Obama is his lack of understanding how important our traditions are in this country. Like visiting the White House, I know that a number of young Americans, 7th, 8th grade, generally come to Washington, D.C. to tour our monuments and, so that whole patriotic thing, look at the history. And he's excluded people from touring the White House. I happen to have come back a couple of times in April and May when young groups were coming to the city to do their little tours. And this one little girl, two little black girls, they kind of teared up and they said, well, we really wanted to go to the White House to see where Sasha and Malia live, but President Obama has stopped tours. And they started, they were almost crying. And my heart just said, oh, man, this guy, he doesn't get it. But he can take $100 million tour to Africa that doesn't mean anything, but he and Michelle are taking this tour basically on the American taxpayers' dime because they haven't been to Africa before. There's really no reason for them to go. I mean, President Obama cut funding to Africa on Bush's programs, the one for malaria and the one on AIDS. He actually cut funding to those programs when he first came in. And then he wanted to try to play on it last week. And I'm like, everybody in Africa knows that George Bush is the guy who, single-handedly eliminated malaria on the continent and did an outstanding job on the war on AIDS.
I think you really saw an effort by the president and by others as well to try and make the sequestration cuts as painful as possible, much more painful than they needed to be by, for example, canceling such popular tours as White House tours, as if there were no other items that we could reasonably cut. And I think
because they had discretionary decision-making as to what they wanted to cut, though they could cut, right?
There was some. Overall, the sequester did have some limitations, but you saw that when it really affected people, like when there was concern over delays on airports, Congress was able to come together and do something to give agencies more flexibility so they could program the cuts in a way that it wouldn't cause disruptions in the economy.
But see, that was political because they knew business people would be traveling, and if they were inconvenienced, then they would vote people out who were blah, 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 right? I tell you, Bill Clinton, in my opinion, and Mr. Clinton, I hope that your cronies are listening, is one of the worst presidents that ever, he politicized the office of the presidency and sold the office of the presidency for his own political gain. And he's still benefiting financially from selling favors. That's why Hillary Clinton, you're toast. Benghazi aside, you're toast. Sorry, go ahead.
Something interesting, too, is that today we actually have higher tax rates on upper income earners than we did have during the Clinton years. The president said all along what he wants to do is return to Clinton-era tax rates for upper-income earners. But we actually have higher tax rates now. It's because there have been additional taxes imposed on upper-income earners, like the Medicare surcharge, which for the first time you have a payroll tax applied to investment income, which is unprecedented and a very dangerous step.
Romana, we're going to come back after this break and finish up. So we'll be right back, folks.
Join us in the fight for American jobs. On July 15th, the Black American Leadership Alliance will conduct the D.C. March for Jobs, a rally on Washington urging Congress to reject amnesty and support the millions of Americans unable to find work. Help stop Congress. Join us on July 15th with prominent speakers like Colonel Allen West and others. To learn more about how you can stop amnesty and support American workers, visit DCMarchForJobs.com. That's DCMarchForJobs.com to join this historic event.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Did you know that 50% of heart attacks are brought on by infections? Did you know that hospitals are breeding grounds for antibiotic-resistant bugs like MRSA? The environment is infected with parasites, and the mild winter means ticks with Lyme disease, mosquitoes with West Nile virus, and cold and flu viruses will be on the rise. Protect yourself with nature's natural anti-parasitic, antiviral, antifungal, antibiotic, Lisen, the heart of garlic. Get concentrated protection with Ali-C and Ali-Ben from Affinity Health Products. 1 capsule of Ali-C equals 40 cloves of garlic or 100 garlic pills with no garlic breath. Ali-Ben has allicin in spray, liquid, and cream forms with 3 times more strength than leading brands and costs less. Go to ali-c.com, spelled ALLI-C.com, or call 855-ALLISON. That's 855-255-4246. That's 855-255-4246. Protect yourself with Allie C and Allie Van from Affinity Health Products at ally-c.com.
Great news, pure water lovers. BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com has a special discount offer for all GCN listeners. You can't do better than a Big Berkey for economy. For only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. There's none better than a Big Berkey for emergency preparedness as a backup water source. And you just can't beat a Big Berkey to remove dangerous chlorine, all types of fluoride, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, parasites, and unhealthy byproducts from municipal water. Berkey water filter systems are even powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. For the gold standard in water filters, get a Big Berkey at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And all GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. For details, call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, listen carefully. Sweeping changes to IRS policies will help more people than ever eliminate their tax debts once and for all. And now, I can help you reduce or eliminate your tax debts and end your tax nightmare. Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I've helped thousands of people reduce and eliminate tax debts they couldn't pay, and after more than 30 years of experience dealing with the IRS, I can tell you there's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. And with the IRS's new policies, it's easier than ever to put your tax debt behind you once and for all. Call now at 800-346-6829 to learn how I can help you. You know your IRS debt will not go away by itself, but you don't have to live in fear anymore. Call 800-346-6829. Learn how I can help you eliminate wage and bank levies, release tax liens, and negotiate a settlement with the IRS that will put your tax nightmare behind you forever. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to taxhelponline.com. That's taxhelponline.com.
Utopia Silver understands that mainstream medicine and the rising cost of healthcare can financially destroy any family. We simply cannot afford to get sick. The only option is to stay healthy. Americans are learning that ill health is not caused by a deficiency of drugs. It's usually the result of a deficiency of minerals, vitamins, proper nutrition, and exercise. UtopiaSilver.com offers colloidal silver and healing protocols for vaccine and radiation poisoning, arthritis, insomnia, and more. If you're sick of unconstitutional government mandates, then stand up now and say no. The time is growing short to put this evil genie back in its bottle. Join Utopia Silver in promoting good health and fighting for our God-given health care rights. Visit utopiasilver.com, UTOPIA silver.com, or call 888-213-4338. That's 888-213-4338.
Okay, welcome back to Charles Butler Show here on Genesis Communication Network. We have in studio with us I'm broadcasting, by the way, from the Heritage Foundation studio. We have Romana Boccio with us, and we're talking about the U.S. debt and tax rates, and how tax rates are actually higher now than under Mr. Obama than under Bill Clinton on the upper wage earners in the country.
That's right, because as part of Obamacare, the President Obama phased in new taxes on upper income earners that apply, that basically raise the Medicare surcharge, the tax that you pay with your payroll taxes for Medicare. But it only applies to upper income earners, and one of the dangerous effects of this is that for the first time, a payroll tax, which has thus far only applied to earned income, is now being applied to investment income and earned income. So overall, the tax rate for upper income earners is almost 45% now.
Well, that's why you have people like Phil Mickelson and people in Hollywood. You've had even Bill Maher complain. He's spending 60% of his income in taxes. And, he's a hardcore liberal. So I think they're finally getting it. This redistribution of wealth is affecting them. Hollywood is always wants to talk about the rest of us and try to dictate to the rest of us while excluding themselves. You look at President Obama talking about the carbon footprint. This is a guy who jumps in Air Force One and flies it around like it's a little G-10 or something.
Yeah, let's think also Tina Turner left the country. But jokes aside, I think what's important to realize here is that right now the president and his party are targeting upper income earners, but soon enough they will have to come for the middle class. And it's simply the fact that the policies expanding the entitlement programs with Obamacare, it's a massive expansion of our already rising healthcare costs, and then having no real change to Social Security and some of the other programs that are really driving our debt and deficit. What it means is that if we don't resolve those issues, if we don't make reforms that make those programs less expensive, we will see higher taxes on the middle class, on Americans more broadly, and they will be faced with benefit cuts in Social Security and Medicare, in addition to higher taxes. And the longer we wait, the more severe those changes will have to be. So that's why Congress needs to get to work now.
They do. So you're absolutely right. So Romana, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been just a privilege and a pleasure to have you here and be in studio with you. So you're right. We need to get Congress working on reducing tax rates for all of us and reducing government waste in the budget.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you. That's Miss Romana Boccio. She's a frequent guest on my show. She's a gorgeous young lady and extremely smart. For you young fellows out there, I suggest you do your homework. And so that you can have a young lady like Romana in your life. I have a gentleman, tall, dark, and handsome, who's in the studio and putting on the headset. Mr. Tom Broadwater of AmericansForWork.org. Hey, how you doing, Tom?
Charles, how are you? Thanks for having me. It's good to be with you here in Washington at the Heritage Foundation.
The Heritage Foundation. Hey, look, we were at the D.C. March for Jobs yesterday, and that was quite an experience. Just come in and just disassemble the studio here. No, I'm just kidding. But what did you think of the march?
Well, I thought the march was a living testament to the sort of pent-up anxiety of a number of Americans, regardless of ethnicity, to the desperate, harsh economic conditions that people are facing in this country.
We had a number of people there who did not have jobs, who've been looking for jobs. We had people there who had been discriminated against because they were Americans and did not speak Spanglish. We had a number of Americans there who had been passed over for foreign workers. And, I don't want to call out an ethnicity. I'm not going to say Latino workers, Hispanic workers, Polish workers. They're just foreign-born workers who shouldn't be here working. And it's unconscionable that President Obama, the Congress, DOJ, the states, the cities won't protect its citizens and their jobs.
I completely agree with you, and I want to get to the deeper issue of underemployment and unemployment, and who's taking those jobs and what the competitive forces are in our market in just a second. But let me digress first to why it took, or why we're not hearing as much about this as we should.
Okay.
I have a sense, and we've heard it over and over, that there's a liberal media, there's a conspiracy to disregard and to hide information from the rest of the country, and I've always been, skeptical of that.
Okay.
However, I have a new conscience, or let's say consciousness of the White House and the U.S. Congress press corps. And I have the sense that at the end of the day, because I'm a businessman, but at the end of the day, those people are little employees. They're employees of NBC, CBS, Reuters, wherever.
Really?
Yeah. Most of the press. And so if I'm working at NBC, and I've been there for 20 years, and this is my career, I've got my 401k and everything, regardless of the fact that I'm some objective journalist, right? I've got to do everything I can to keep my job. And so I have to keep my job. I've earned my credential at the White House. I've earned my State Department credentials. I've earned it all. So I can't lose my job. Mm-hmm. So that means that whoever's in power, whether that's a Republican administration or a Democratic administration, I cannot offend the presidential narrative.
But they did when Republicans are in, they attacked Republicans vehemently.
Well, there was, all things considered, it could have been worse. But these guys, all things considered, it could have been worse. But these guys are particularly vicious are particularly sympathetic to Democrats.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so they have a bias.
They have a bias.
Yeah.
But in addition to having the bias, they want to keep their jobs. So the point I'm making is that the country has been laboring for now 6 years under delusions that the economy is okay. The economy is improving. And everything is coming back.
We have a growth of a negative 1%.
Yes, but we're adding jobs.
We have a growth of a negative 1%.
I'm repeating the narrative to you. And the press amplifies the narrative as if everything is okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've digressed to make that point because the thousands of people that you and I saw on the Capitol Mall yesterday, concerned about joblessness in their communities, are not being articulated. They're not being shown to the American people.
Well, what I found strange and a very contrasting is people were out marching for Trayvon Martin, but they're not out marching for American jobs, jobs for Americans. That's what I found to be just devastating. And they're marching for the wrong reason. They're marching because they think this is a racial incident. And it's like, wait a minute, dude. It's not racial. This is a bad incident, but it wasn't racial.
Well, let's stick with our issue, though, first. I mean, the issue that we're talking about, which is joblessness and hopelessness across the country. It's absolutely bad. People, I think, you see these people marching for Trayvon, they sort of illustrate human nature where they're more concerned about everybody else than they are about themselves, right? And then they should be more concerned about themselves. But what we have with for instance, the immigration legislation before the House and the U.S. Senate today is a wholesale attack on an already desperate economic situation.
Yeah. And it's a desperate attack on people at the bottom rung of the socioeconomic ladder.
Right.
It always has been. As I pointed out yesterday, immigration has always negatively impacted and stymied the full integration of blacks into the American mainstream. Nixon tried to eliminate that by bringing blacks into the economic mainstream. And I always point out to people that before the 70s and Nixon and his civil rights platform, which people never give him credit for, by the way, if you were black with a college education, you could be a preacher, teacher, doctor, lawyer, and you could work for the government. IBM wasn't hiring you. Xerox wasn't hiring you. I don't care who you were. And today, we have law firms that still don't hire black people.
Sure.
So, as we go down this slippery slope and this post-racial, I don't think anything's post-racial about it, but I think that as I put out in my paper yesterday, black Americans should start acting like Americans instead of trying to act like black people, because those days are over.
Yeah, well, all of our, you said the blacks were historically hurt in all the migration pushes in the country, the Italians, the Irish. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But blacks, in my opinion, have been hurt in all of these migrations because this is the one ethnic group that's a part of the country that the majority of whom were disenfranchised and brought and disaggregated in their religion and their speech and everything else. And so when you see African Americans on the streets, you may think that they have a common bond, but I think that many of them...
You mean black Americans, or you mean people from Africa?
No. I want to distinguish the continental Africans from the African Americans.
Okay, so see, that's where I have a disconnect. The bottom line is we're black Americans.
Okay.
That whole thing of African American was created by some bourgeois pseudo intellectuals in 1986 in Martha's Vineyard. I'm trying to get who you're talking about because we have a lot of Africans who are here who are American.
I think you and I are on the same page.
Okay.
It's just that we use a different vocabulary.
Okay.
I define the people from Africa as continental Africans.
But nobody ever uses that term.
Well, they describe themselves that way. All right, and at least here in Washington, amongst the Ethiopians, and the
of course, because that term African American is
they don't like
applied to us.
They don't like it.
Yeah.
Then number two, the Caribbean Africans are a different group. All right, and the traditional, let's say, descendant African Americans is what I'm a part of, and I think I'm
a Black American.
You're all right. So
I'm not African American.
All right, so let's I don't want to get
that's
caught.
A continent.
I don't want to get caught in.
But we've gone down. I'm just trying to find out who you're talking about. That's what I'm trying to do.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So I'm talking about the descendants of slaves.
Okay.
All right. And that's a disaggregated, disenfranchised group of people. And unfortunately, they probably hit the point, 100 years ago, maybe even 50 years ago, where that group has become dysfunctional because we're so distrustful.
50 years ago.
I would
put it since Dr. King died.
Yeah.
And we had these race baiters. Yeah. And we had people who have changed basically the way that Black Americans look at America. We had the same values as what's his name? As the Caribbeans. Everybody wants to talk about the Caribbeans and their values and their morals and yada, yada, yada. We have the same thing. So, look, we'll be right back with Mr. Tom Broadwater. We're going to solve the problems of the world here in the next 10 seconds.
Join us in the fight for American jobs. On July 15th, the Black American Leadership Alliance will conduct the D.C. March for Jobs, a rally on Washington urging Congress to reject amnesty and support the millions of Americans unable to find work. Help stop Congress. Join us on July 15th with prominent speakers like Colonel Allen West and others. To learn more about how you can stop amnesty and support American workers, visit DCMarchForJobs.com. That's DCMarchForJobs.com to join this historic event.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Did you know that 50% of heart attacks are brought on by infections? Did you know that hospitals are breeding grounds for antibiotic-resistant bugs like MRSA? The environment is infected with parasites, and the mild winter means ticks with Lyme disease, mosquitoes with West Nile virus, and cold and flu viruses will be on the rise. Protect yourself with nature's natural anti-parasitic, antiviral, antifungal antibiotic, Lisen, the heart of garlic. Get concentrated protection with Ali-C and Ali-Ban from Affinity Health Products. One capsule of Ali-C equals 40 cloves of garlic or 100 garlic pills with no garlic breath. Ali-Ban has Allicin in spray, liquid, and cream forms with 3 times more strength than leading brands and costs less. Go to ali-c.com, spelled ALLI-C.com, or call 855-ALLICIN. That's 855-255-4246. That's 855-255-4246. Protect yourself with Ali-C and Ali-Ban from Affinity Health Products at ali-c.com.
Are you still a traditional smoker? Now experience a new lifestyle and try vaping with e-cigarettes by Lasig. Imagine no ashes, stains, nasty smell, or coughing and hacking. With Lasig e-cigarettes' revolutionary microelectronic technology, rechargeable battery, and unique replaceable cartridge, you'll get all the benefits and satisfaction of smoking without the hazards. Choose your taste from a wide variety of our new American-made vape-free e-liquids at Lasig.com. And Lasig smokes the competition by serving thousands of worldwide customers with real people customer service, fast, free, same-day shipping, and a 30-day warranty and satisfaction guarantee. So are you ready for a new vaping lifestyle? Then call 870-518-4307. That's 870-518-4307. Or visit Lasig.com, spelled Lecig.com. Lasig e-cigarettes for today's modern smoker.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light Systems system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at GoBerkey.com. That's GoBerkey.com today.
Don't throw away leftovers. Instead, throw all your leftovers, vegetable peels, eggshells, coffee grounds, pizza crust, and more into the bokashi. If you love to garden and compost but don't like the hassle of turning a compost bin or the smell, then check out the EM Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System from Terraganics. Finally, a way to recycle all your food and plant waste safely and effectively and stop using fertilizers. The EM Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System. Rather than decomposition, the Bokashi system uses fermentation to break down waste, so it takes less time to create nutrient-dense humus for crops or gardens, with no turning and no obnoxious odors. To learn more and order your Bokashi online, visit Terraganics.com and click on the orange button. That's Terraganics.com, spelled Terraganix.com, or call 866-369-3678. That's 866-369-3678. Recycle all your food wastes in about 6 weeks with the Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System from Terraganics.com. Terraganics. Life's getting better.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to the Charles Butler Show here on Genesis Communication Network. I'm sitting in studio in the Heritage Foundation studio with Mr. Tom Broadwater of AmericanForWork.org. We were just having a discussion about who's impacted by illegal immigration and this immigration reform bill. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I think the Black American community are the primary victims of any immigration reform bill that promises amnesty to the 11 million illegal immigrants in the country.
That's a term. That's a 11 million is a number they've used since 1994. So we know that number's higher. But they use that number, 11 million. And I'm just throwing it out there. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I agree. And the 11 million, I use that number because one of the tricks of the media. I'm not going to characterize them as liberal or conservative, but one of the tricks of the media is that if you exaggerate terms, then they'll come back and critique you for your accuracy, right? So the 11 million is a White House term. It's a federal government term. Let's just use that when you and I and everybody else knows it's much, much higher.
No question.
But Black Americans are the primary victims for this reason. Mm-hmm. Having lived and worked in South America, I can tell you that, and even from academic research, I can tell you that 74% of the immigrants, the illegal immigrants that come into the country, have a 10th grade education or less.
Or less, yeah.
The majority of them are qualified and are very qualified based on the actual work that I have seen in Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, Peru, Bolivia, all these countries I've visited. They're very qualified to do construction, the construction trades, services, transportation. They do a very good job of it. However, there's one big problem with their competencies and their abilities to do all this work. It's that 51% of all of the Black Americans in the country have a high school diploma or less, and jobs in the construction trades and manufacturing and services and transportation have been the cornerstone
of the Black American middle class.
Middle class.
Yeah.
All right. So when you introduce 11 million, and it could be much, much higher, as you and I know. You introduce a minimum of 11 million illegal immigrants who are expertly qualified from their countries to do carpentry, masonry, steel work, all these things, and drive trucks and work in the services trades. And those are the jobs that the majority of Black Americans are.
In Chicago, you're absolutely right, because in Chicago, that's who's doing, you have illegals doing construction, driving trucks, doing all the jobs, the labor jobs that Black and poor and underskilled whites used to do.
Yeah. Now,
so we have only 47% of Americans employed, and that's full-time and part-time employment.
Yeah, listen, I'm really sympathetic to Americans overall, but what I'm pointing out is that the primary victims, and to an exaggerated degree, the black Americans, primary victims, exaggerated, are the black Americans. Mm-hmm. And so they're in a serious bout. It's a big problem. We're going to need probably to come back at some point and talk more about it, but I can tell you that when an 18-year-old who's fresh out of high school does not get a job, the job that he could have had a generation ago at McDonald's, right, or at the bank as a teller, or at one of the other retail trades, or as a carpenter's apprentice or a plumbing apprentice, well, it's very difficult for that then 20-year-old to enter the workforce and say, well, I'd like to have that entry level.
Well, especially after that 20-year-old has been busted for selling drugs.
Well, I don't want to go into the let's go on the straight and narrow. Let's take the black.
Oh yeah, no question.
Take the black boy. Take the black boy that doesn't get in trouble.
Right.
In all of our history, right. You know this. I know this. The first job begets the second job. Right. The second job begets the third job. And on and on and on. So we now have between 18 and 29. 35%.
So why did the Congressional Black Caucus come out and endorse immigration reform? But when we called over there last week, they were like, well, no, the chairman does, but we're going to pull back. That was premature. Yeah. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So
why? But in general, why do they support immigration reform?
Because their districts are changing. One, and two, they think that somehow they have an alliance with the Hispanic caucus. They don't. I can show you on the federal level, on state levels, and local levels where the Hispanic caucus has constantly stabbed the black caucuses in the back. Period.
Yeah. Well,
period. That's what they do.
I think I'm spot on with you on that. Their districts are changing. Right. The Latino immigrants into their
but they're illegal. And see what what we should be doing. Yeah. The people who should be out in front of this immigration reform issue should be black Americans. And hey, folks, we are getting ready to end the show. Thank you so much, Tom, for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Charles.
It's been great. Hey, look, folks, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Genesis Communication Networks, 8 a.m. Eastern. Charles Butler will be back tomorrow. Thank you. I want to thank my producer, Mr. Scott, over at Genesis, and we'll see you tomorrow, Scott. All right. Bye-bye.
Would you like to be able to disappear, to be invisible to the NSA and Obama spying thugs? Fortunately, there are still a handful of people carrying the torch for freedom and privacy. My friend Chris Peterson is one of them, and he made a video at privacyradio.com that you need to see right now. He'll teach you how to communicate privately, take your identity off the grid, and even disappear forever. Go to privacyradio.com now to see for yourself. Hurry, though, it's just a matter of time before Obama's minions have him shut down and this information is lost forever. privacyradio.com.
Hi, Dr. Joel Wallach here, host of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. I will be in Lexington, Kentucky, Monday, July 22nd, Crown Plaza Hotel, 6:30 p.m. You've heard me say it on the air, and now you're going to see me in person. Be sure to bring a friend, and I will disclose the secrets to good health and, just as important, potential wealth. To know more, listen to Dead Doctors Don't Lie or call 855-316-TEAM. Again, Dead Doctors Don't Lie or call 855-316-TEAM.
What's safer and cheaper than prescription drugs?
Glad you asked. The answer is Renovation Teas. Herbal remedies are much safer and much cheaper than prescription drugs. Taste great, and most importantly, herbal teas are effective and non-addictive. Renovation Tea is especially unique, and here's why. We spent years researching herbs and their beneficial properties. Renovation Teas uses only 100% organic, fair trade herbs. Our teas are blended towards specific ailments and health conditions, such as diabetes, blood pressure, anxiety, libido, detox, and much more. All Renovation Teas are formulated and hand-filled in Arkansas. Take care of yourself naturally, the way Mother Nature intended. Order Renovation Teas at renovationtea.com or call 870-784-3121. That's 870-784-3121. Renovation Teas. Renovate your health one bag at a time.